There exists a kind of exhaustion that sleep cannot cure, a depletion that no amount of food or comfort can restore. It is the fatigue of the spirit, an erosion of one's inner peace, caused not by physical strain, but by invisible forces we unwittingly allow into our lives. If you have ever felt inexplicably drained after certain interactions, if some people's presence leaves you empty while others energize you, or if life seems to be going well yet you still feel weighed down, the root cause likely lies in the loss of your vital energy. This exhaustion is not simply a feeling. It is a signal, an alarm set off by your soul telling you that something within your environment is stealing from your essence. Unlike physical fatigue, which can often be remedied by rest, spiritual depletion requires a deeper intervention. It is a call to reclaim the parts of yourself that you have given away, sometimes unknowingly, to people, situations, and habits that do not serve your highest self. You start your day with energy, but as the hours pass, you notice an invisible drain. By noon, your mind feels sluggish, your patience wears thin, and your motivation is nowhere to be found. It's not just work or daily responsibilities pulling at you. It's the distractions, the worries, the conversations that add no value. What if you could reclaim that energy and channel it toward things that truly matter? What if, instead of reacting to every demand on your attention, you made the conscious choice to protect your energy and invest it where it counts? Imagine waking up every morning with a full reservoir of energy. In a perfect world, you would distribute this energy wisely, investing it in meaningful conversations, productive work, and moments of joy with loved ones. Yet for most people, by midday, they feel inexplicably drained. Their energy leaks in directions they were not even aware of. The question is, where does it all go? The reality is, energy does not just disappear, it flows. Like a river, it moves toward whatever is demanding it, whether that be external obligations, internal anxieties, or the unconscious patterns you have developed over time. Think about the distractions that pull at your attention each day. Endless notifications, unnecessary arguments, worrying about things beyond your control. Each of these represents a small siphon on your energy, steadily depleting you, even if you don't realize it in the moment. Many of us wake up with good intentions. We start the day determined to be productive, focused, and mindful. But before we know it, we're scrolling through social media, engaging in debates that lead nowhere, or mentally replaying conversations that left us feeling uneasy. We think these moments are small, insignificant, but they add up. By the time the day is half over, we wonder why we feel so exhausted. The answer is simple. Our energy has been leaking, moment by moment, into places that do not serve us. In Buddhism and Zen philosophy, energy is not just a mystical concept, but the very essence of our being. It is the force that determines our mental clarity, emotional balance, and spiritual well-being. Yet without realizing it, most people allow their energy to be siphoned away daily. They make three common mistakes that permit stress, negativity, and toxicity to infiltrate their space, leaving them anxious, disconnected, and exhausted. A Zen master once said, "The wise do not waste their breath arguing with fools, nor their peace on matters beyond their control. They protect their energy as one protects a flame from the wind. But the modern world is full of distractions, each one vying for a piece of your attention, your energy, your life force. The question is, are you aware of where your energy is going? Have you ever paused to consider if the things that take your energy truly deserve it? Think about the interactions you engage in. Some people uplift you, making you feel lighter and inspired. Others leave you drained, exhausted, as if they have taken something intangible but valuable from you. This is not a coincidence. Energy exchange happens in every conversation, every relationship, every environment you step into. Protecting your energy means choosing wisely, who you allow into your space, what conversations you entertain, and what thoughts you permit to linger in your mind. Energy does not just disappear, it gets directed. Every time you react to negativity, indulge in pointless arguments, or allow yourself to be consumed by worries, you are giving your energy away. The wise recognize this and move through life with intention. They choose where their energy flows, just as a gardener chooses where to water. A crucial part of this process is self-awareness. Start observing your own patterns. What drains you? Is it social media, news headlines, certain people in your life, your own self-doubt? Once you recognize the leaks, you can begin the work of sealing them. Here's a simple exercise. At the end of each day, take a few moments to reflect. Ask yourself, where did my energy go today? Did it go toward things that uplifted you, or did it scatter into distractions, arguments, and anxiety? Awareness is the first step toward change. When you understand how and where your energy is being spent, you can begin reclaiming it. Protecting your energy doesn't mean shutting yourself off from the world. It means being selective about what you give your attention to. You have a finite amount of energy each day. Treat it as the precious resource it is. When you learn to direct it wisely, you will notice profound changes. You will feel more present, more at peace, and more in control of your life. The next time you feel exhausted, instead of immediately seeking external reasons, lack of sleep, too much work, pause and look inward. Ask yourself, where is my energy going? The answer may reveal more than you expect. One such story illustrates this wisdom well. A weary traveler arrived at the gates of a secluded monastery high in the mountains. His face bore deep lines of stress, his shoulders slumped under an invisible burden. He sought an audience with the silent monk, a man known for his wisdom despite never speaking a word. The monk gestured for the traveler to sit beside him on a warm stone. In the stillness, the traveler felt compelled to speak. "Master, I am exhausted. My mind is restless, my heart is heavy. I eat well, I sleep enough, I work diligently, yet I feel as if something is pulling my spirit apart. Please help me understand." The monk picked up a bamboo stick and traced 3 symbols in the sand. The traveler studied them carefully. They represented the 3 great mistakes that drain one's energy: engaging in meaningless conflict, absorbing negativity from others, and wasting time on what does not serve one's soul. The traveler hesitated, reflecting on these symbols. "Master, how do I stop these drains?" The monk smiled gently but remained silent. Instead, he picked up a leaf and let it drift onto the surface of a still pond. The leaf floated, undisturbed, adapting effortlessly to the water's rhythm. The traveler watched intently, understanding the lesson without words. To protect one's energy is to flow, not fight. It is to move with intention, allowing what does not serve to pass by, instead of holding on to it. He took a deep breath and felt something within him shift, a burden lifting, a newfound clarity taking its place. With a deep bow, he thanked the monk and left the monastery, not with spoken answers, but with wisdom felt in the depths of his soul. The first symbol depicted 2 figures locked in an argument. The traveler frowned. "Master, are you saying I waste my energy in conflicts?" The monk nodded and tossed a stone into a still pond. Ripples disturbed the water. "You fight with those who will never understand," the traveler whispered, realization dawning upon him. Most people waste energy arguing with those who do not listen, trying to change those who do not want to change, proving themselves to people who do not care. Every time you engage in unnecessary conflict, you hand over your peace to someone who does not value it. A wise person does not argue to be right. They remain silent when words are useless and walk away when the battle is not worth the cost. To protect your energy, learn the art of silence. Conflict is an energy vampire, and those who thrive on drama will always seek new victims. Some battles are disguised as important discussions, but in reality, they are simply noise, distractions that deplete you. The key to reclaiming your peace is knowing when to walk away. The moment you refuse to feed a conflict with your attention, it ceases to have power over you. Arguing rarely changes minds. Instead, it drains both parties. The traveler understood this now. He thought about the times he had wasted hours debating with stubborn people, feeling frustrated and exhausted afterward. He realized that his silence, his peace, was more valuable than proving a point to someone who would never see his perspective. The monk tapped the water gently and the ripples faded. A clear reflection returned. "Peace," the traveler whispered, understanding at last. The greatest victory is sometimes found in walking away. The second symbol in the sand was an open hand catching falling stones. The traveler frowned. "Master, do you mean that I take on the burdens of others?" The monk nodded, then gestured toward the sky, where dark clouds gathered. As the first raindrops fell, the monk remained still, while the traveler instinctively reached out to catch them in his palms. The monk smiled and pointed to the traveler's wet hands. "You cannot stop the rain, but you can stop catching it." The traveler stared at his wet hands, realization settling over him like a heavy mist. He had spent years carrying the burdens of others, mistaking their pain for his own. Every time a friend shared their worries, every time a stranger lashed out in anger, he absorbed those emotions, internalizing them as if they were his own. People walk through life carrying their own storms, some filled with sorrow, some brimming with frustration, others clouded by fear. And yet, not all storms are meant to be caught. Some are simply meant to be observed, acknowledged, and allowed to pass. The traveler had mistaken empathy for absorption, thinking that in order to show compassion, he had to bear the weight of others' struggles. But the monk's lesson was clear. To truly help, one must stand firm, not drown alongside the struggling. "Master," the traveler whispered, "how do I stop catching the rain?" The monk knelt and traced a circle in the sand. Inside the circle, he placed a single dry stone, untouched by the raindrops falling around it. The traveler watched, understanding dawning within him. The stone did not reject the rain, nor did it try to capture it. It simply remained. It was present but unaffected. To protect your energy, you must learn the art of presence without attachment. Life will always bring storms, some small drizzles, others raging tempests. People will bring their emotions, their fears, and their pain into your space. You cannot stop this, nor should you try. But you can choose how you respond. The traveler reflected on the moments when he had allowed others' negativity to take hold of him. A friend's sadness had turned into his own melancholy. A stranger's anger had ignited his own frustration. He had unknowingly been catching the rain, holding on to emotions that were never truly his to bear. The monk reached into the folds of his robe and pulled out a lotus petal, placing it gently on the surface of the pond. Unlike the stone, the petal did not remain unaffected. It floated, but it did not sink. It allowed the water to touch it, but it did not become submerged. "Compassion," the monk finally spoke, his voice a mere whisper in the wind, "is not drowning in another's sorrow. It is being there, but remaining afloat." The traveler took a deep breath, his chest rising with newfound understanding. It was not his responsibility to carry the world's pain within him. He could be present, he could offer support, but he did not have to absorb the suffering of others. He could let the rain fall without catching it. From that day forward, the traveler became more mindful of how he engaged with the energy of those around him. He learned to listen with an open heart, but without internalizing pain that was not his to hold. He set boundaries, not out of selfishness, but out of wisdom. He became like the lotus petal, present, compassionate, but floating, free from the weight of unnecessary suffering. The rain continued to fall, but he was no longer soaking wet. He was simply there, letting it pass through him without letting it define him. The third symbol was a broken hourglass. The traveler exhaled. "Master, you mean I waste my time?" The monk pointed to the sun, now beginning its descent. The traveler understood. Time is the most precious form of energy, yet many waste it on things that bring no value, mindlessly scrolling, chasing approval, holding on to resentment, living in the past. Every moment spent on something that does not nourish your soul is energy lost forever. To protect your energy, prioritize what truly matters. The traveler reflected on his own life. How many days had he spent worrying about things he could not change? How much time had he given to people who did not appreciate him? How often had he sought validation from the world, only to feel emptier than before? He suddenly saw time as a currency, something valuable, yet spent without thought. The monk picked up a handful of sand and let it trickle through his fingers. "You cannot stop time," he said, "but you can choose where to spend it." The traveler watched the grains fall, realizing that every second wasted was a second he would never get back. He had been giving his time away carelessly, allowing distractions and mindless habits to dictate his life. But no more. "How do I reclaim my time, Master?" the traveler asked. The monk drew a single straight line in the sand. "Clarity," he said, When you know what matters, you will know where to invest your time. The traveler pondered this. He had been living reactively, letting the world dictate how he spent his days. He vowed to change. From that moment, he would be intentional. He would cut out meaningless distractions, stop chasing approval from those who did not matter, and let go of regrets that no longer served him. The monk placed a smooth stone in the traveler's hand. "This represents presence," he said. "Hold it, feel its weight. When your mind begins to wander, when you feel yourself being pulled into distractions, return to this." The traveler clenched the stone, anchoring himself to the present moment. He suddenly felt lighter, as though a burden had been lifted. He no longer needed to be trapped by time wasted on things that did not bring him peace. As the sun continued its descent, the monk and traveler sat in silence. There was no urgency, no rush, only the quiet recognition that time, when spent wisely, was the most valuable gift of all. From that day forward, the traveler vowed to live with intention. He made space only for what truly mattered. He let go of old grievances, stopped engaging in trivial pursuits, and embraced a life filled with purpose. He no longer wasted time. He invested it in what made his soul come alive. The broken hourglass in the sand remained a reminder. Time is fleeting, but how you spend it is up to you. As the traveler walked away from the monastery, he felt a shift deep within. No longer would he be a passive participant in his own life, letting time slip through his fingers unnoticed. Instead, he would become a guardian of his own energy, a protector of his most valuable resource. Every moment going forward would be a choice, a conscious investment in things that aligned with his highest self. And so, the lesson extends to all of us. Energy is sacred. It is what fuels our passions, our relationships, and our inner peace. If spent recklessly, it vanishes, leaving us drained and unfulfilled. But when directed with intention, it transforms our existence. We become more aware, more present, and more in control of our lives. The next time you feel exhausted, take a moment to reflect. Where did your energy go today? Did it build you up, or was it scattered into distractions that drained you? The choice is yours. Will you guard your energy as a sacred flame, or will you let the wind carry it away? The answer, like time itself, is in your hands.